Hi everyone, welcome to our virtual engineering open house. Today we are having bioengineering student panel. My name is Luz Sandoval Manjarres and I'm an academic advisor with the School of Engineering. This is one event of a series of events to help welcome our second year undergraduate students into the School of Engineering. During their first year, students see their Bobcat advisor in the Bobcat Advising Center. At the completion of their first year, students then transition to their declared major advisors. We hope that you can join us in our other events. So you know this event will be recorded and it will be posted on our engineering advising website. There is an option for Q&A. You can go ahead and drop any questions that you might have in the Q&A box and we will answer them throughout the presentation or at the end. Today we have two student panelists, Gabriel Cepeda and Amar Mann. Thank you for joining us today. I will be facilitating this event and will ask each of you prepared questions, okay? So if we can start, Amar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you choose UC Merced?
I'm a fourth year bioengineering major with a chem minor. I'm from Sacramento, California. I like dogs, and I chose bioengineering at UMC Merced mostly because Eastman is sort of smaller, so there's way more opportunities available here since it's still sort of new. And I chose bioengineering because I like the engineering part, and I like bio always I have, but I like the application of engineering to bio, and that's why I chose bioengineering.
Thank you. Now, Gabe, if you can.
Okay. My name is Gabriel Cepeda. I'm a fifth year bioengineering student. I'm on my last year. And I also have a minor in chemistry. And so why I chose UCM was it's really close to home. I'm from Modesto. So it's basically like having a campus in my backyard because I also grew up on a ranch and Merced's kind of in ranch area. So it's really convenient and nice. Wasn't too hard to adjust to. And I chose bioengineering because, so I was actually a bio major up until my second year, and I decided to switch majors because I liked the more mathematical approach. I really grown to like math and chemistry, and some things like you'll take a transport class, I guess, and you can apply like different math equations to biological processes and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool and interesting, and that's why ultimately I chose bioengineering. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you both tell us about bioengineering and maybe a little bit about the classes that you've taken towards bioengineering? I know some of you are almost done with your degree, but can you talk a little bit about the classes and the main?
I would say there's a lot you can gain from meeting the faculty in specifically upper division, but like when you get to those upper division courses, I definitely recommend getting close to those professors because they know the field of bioengineering specifically way better than like I would know about bioengineering because they're in the field. They have a PhD. Some do have masters, but I would definitely like get close to those upper division faculty. Like for example, Escobar or Munoz. They're like on the frontier of bioengineering, so they're a good connection to have, and they can help you point yourself in the direction of what you want to do after class, like after school and stuff like that, like graduate work and stuff like that, or just pharmacy or something. Like they can point you in the right direction. In terms of workload and classes, it's all doable. All the classes, it's all time management, honestly. Like, what are you spending your time doing? Like, are you waking up at 11 a.m. or are you waking up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m.? Like, I wouldn't say it's too difficult. It's everything's doable. And I know they say that there's prereqs that you have to fulfill, but ultimately you won't end up using those. You'll use like maybe the concept of a course from the past, like a lower division course from the past, but new material. It's a new class. You're gonna get new material. You just have to like stick to it, tough it out, and honestly, you'll get through it. Like it's going to boil down to how you use your time, I think, when it comes to the bioengineering classes. And my favorite class was probably physiology with Dr. Escobar. It was really hard. I'll say it was really hard. It wasn't like cakewalk, but it was very interesting. I learned about you learn about like how things bind to receptors, different how you can apply like voltage to the body because there's an electric potential going through your body and stuff like that. So you just learn about how your body works and stuff like that, and it's really interesting. And I definitely, when you get to it, get close to him. He's a cool guy. Yeah, I would say in summary, bioengineering is really cool, and just stick to it. You'll tough it out. Like you'll get through it. It's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Amar, would you like to share a little bit about the classes you've taken?
Well, bioengineering is like it's like where you take bios individually by itself, and then taking physics, any other subject, like you're taking materials, any engineering class, sort of, and applying to them. You learn them separately at first, and then at closer to third or fourth years, you learn to apply them together in classes. Some of the classes I have taken my first and second years are just like general ed classes, like math courses, chem classes, and bio classes individually. But during my third and fourth is where I started learning to apply them all together as biothermodynamics, biotransport, and biomolecular engineering. Those are some of the classes.
That's great. You both did mention that you have a chemistry minor, both of you. Can you talk more about the minor and how did you were able to fit this minor into your schedule?
I applied for my chem minor my third year. I thought I had room because I was trying to finish bioengineering in 3 years, but they told me I couldn't do it. So I still had all this extra time left over. So I didn't. So I thought, why not take chem minor? I want to take 4 classes each semester anyways. So, but I needed to find a minor that like has some classes that were separated from my major. So I still get credit for the chem minor separately. I filed out a paper for the chem minor through my academic advisor, and she told me how to do it. And yeah, it's only like 4 classes for the chem minor, so it seemed pretty not much harder than the actual major itself, and they would just complement my learning.
I have a chemistry minor, and the reason why I picked it up was because I went to a conference in fall through a club called BMES, Biomedical Engineering Society, which I recommend you guys joining if you're new. And basically, I met with like industry leaders and grad school professors and stuff, and they told me that it would be really good to have because I'm interested in chemical engineering. It's something I want to do after undergrad. And basically, I actually, Pa Vang is in here. She's my counselor. And I went and just asked one thing is to just go and ask questions. And that could be your counselor, whoever. And I went to Pa Vang, asked questions. I asked, can I pick up a chem minor? And because I was a bio major before I finished Chem 100, so I just needed 4 more, I think 3 more classes. Yeah, 3 more classes after to complete it. And yeah, I took thermodynamics last semester. I'm taking intro to scientific computing and inorganic chem. And honestly, you learn more. And then when you learn when you learn about different types of chemistry, and then it kind of even overlaps with the different classes you take in BIOE. So it's kind of like, yeah, supplemental material, like Amar said. And it's just, personally, you can never go wrong with learning more. I'm going to be here regardless in this 5-year span. Like, I might as well just pick up a chem minor. That's kind of how I also took it. I recommend picking up a minor. Like, maybe you're interested in physics, pick up a minor in physics. I think there's even an engineering, business, with an emphasis in business or something. Like, pick that up. Like, whatever you find interesting, you might as well pick up a minor. Learn as much as possible throughout your 4 years, 5 years here. That would be my advice to those attending. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. I know sometimes there's questions about minors. Now I want to ask you to kind of go back to when you were in your lower division classes. What were some good academic behaviors that you developed to be successful in these lower division classes, if you remember? And then if not, what are some for your upper division courses? So Amar, if we can have you.
Well, I kept the same type of learning I did in high school, where I would look over my notes every day for every class, at least keep it refreshing it every day so I wouldn't forget as much. I would, if I didn't understand something, I would sometimes go to office hours or go through a book for the class. But honestly, the most consistent thing I did over the years or during my lower division is just keep studying every day, just even like 30 minutes for each class, and you should be pretty good. And I recommend doing some like anything like where at least you're learning something or relearning something every day, so you won't forget it by the midterm or quiz coming up. Yeah.
I'll follow up with that. Yeah, stay consistent. Like, always go over your things over and over again. Make sure it sticks. Like, if you think you can cram, like in lower division, I would say you can probably cram, but I would make it a habit to not do that, because once you get to a class like 100 or like a class like 140, you can't cram. Like, that is not a class where you could just spend, 1 day on it for a midterm, because the class consists of like 2 midterms, and that's it. There's no homework that goes into it. There's no, like, it's just a midterm and a final that dictates your whole grade. So you need to spend like a sufficient amount of time like reviewing constantly, always reviewing. And if there's something you don't understand, definitely talk to your professors in office hours, or just email them if you can't meet up with their office hours. Another thing is wake up early. Like, I would like, for me, it works for me. But wake up early. I remember staying up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to study, as in like first, second year, and that was a bad habit for me, because I don't know, like, if I don't get enough sleep, I don't work properly. Like, my efficiency goes down, I'd say, like, significantly. So get up early, get your things done. Don't put things off. Use tools like Google Calendar. Have a planner. Like, do what you got to do, honestly. And yeah, constant review for sure.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. That's really great advice. And what have been some challenges that you have faced as a bioengineering student?
At least for lower div, I was scared when I first started college. I thought I wouldn't be able to handle college in general, and I almost dropped out my first semester after I got my first midterm. Like, I got a C, and like, to me that was really bad, because in high school I never got a C, and I just told myself, like, I want to be able to do this. Like, I even told my roommate that, like, I'm gonna get an A in this class, and I was able to pull it off. It was in Math 21, the first like calculus class. Uh, but it's also like the workload and the amount of studying. Like, it's a lot. Like, compared to other majors, this major has a lot of work. Like, you have to put in the time, because you can't learn most of the stuff last minute as other majors. Like you will have less free time than other majors, but I feel like if you love bioengineering, it'd be worth it to do it. Another struggle was, like, my work ethics sort of decreased my second year. Like, I don't know what happened. It just happened. Like, I would just study the day before midterms, then Like I was able to wing them, but honestly, it was so much like stress applied to me during those. Like I changed it on my third year and started like being more consistent in my habits and trying to learn easily. And I would recommend doing that. Yeah, it's just mostly the workload that's been the struggle. Like it's gonna be a lot and it takes a lot out of you, but if you're determined and motivated, you will be able to pull through all of this, no matter yeah how hard it is. And also recommend like to keep like enjoy like do not just think about school all the time. Like do other outside activities. So like to de-stress yourself because like you should not think about school all the time. It'll make it easier on your brain. It'll make you happier, which will even help with your learning.
What he said was pretty accurate. Definitely spend at least give yourself an hour and a half to yourself a day, like whether it's gym, video games, whatever it is, like definitely clear your head. Like you got to clear your head for sure. But one thing I wanted to mention was being a first generation student. My family, like my dad's a landscaper, and my mom, she works at an office. But I don't have anybody in my family who I could just go like, hey, what's the bioengineering field like? I'm the first person to go to college, so I've kind of had to figure it out for myself, and I think that has been one of the hardest parts because to the second years and anybody who watches this video, just having a degree itself is not it's not sufficient to get it could be, but you need to do research, you need to do internships, you need to do all this kind of other stuff. And nobody told me that until I was like a third year. And so I hope you guys jump on that now. But I had to, I got to go to Philly through BMES. I got to go to Puerto Rico for a conference through BMES, like branch out, um, join clubs. There's engineering fraternity Theta Tau, like there's SWE Society of Women Engineers. Like join those engineering clubs because you're gonna meet somebody who's gonna tell you something that you didn't know, and that I think helped me overcome my problem of being a first generation student. Um, is just this, there was this girl by the name of Sonia in an organization that I'm a part of, and she was like, "Yo, you kind of don't have anything," and she was kind of my wake up call, and I was like, "You're right, I don't have anything." So she was like, "Go to your professors, ask them for get an opportunity in research," and I did, and now I'm doing research uh, in chemistry with Professor Liang. But like do definitely like go meet other people, ask a ton of questions because if you uh, uh, what's the saying? A mouth can't eat if it's closed. Like you gotta ask your questions. If you're lost, ask questions to people. Like um, definitely don't stay ignorant. Yeah, definitely don't. That would be my biggest advice with that question is ask a lot of questions, get them answered. Yeah.
Thank you, and I want to congratulate both of you for overcoming these challenges. And I know you're almost there, right? But you persevere. So congrats, and thank you for sharing that. You both mentioned outside activities, right? Extracurricular activities. So what activities would you recommend for students to get involved in? So can you talk a little bit about internships, research, or even any organizations that you might know of?
Like Gabriel, I didn't know like we had to do internships and stuff like that as well. Like no one told me as well. Uh, like, but during my second year, end of the second year, I started asking professors for internships and or summer research, and I did summer research last year at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories with Gabrielle Lutz, and I did breast cancer research right there, and that helped me helped me understand research, like get my hands like understand cell work because I was doing a lot of cell work there. But this internship, like once I put it on my resume, like it made it easier to get other like when I work with professors, like professors will respond more if you have more experience. Like, uh, right after I finished this internship at Lawrence Livermore, I got I'm an undergraduate researcher for a Professor Aguilas, and I do a lot of protein work on and understanding synovial fluid over articular cartilage. And I probably wouldn't have gotten it if I had the Lawrence Livermore. But, so I feel and understand now like how important it is to experience through these. Like it makes you more competitive once you go into the job field. Like you should ask professors, email them. Like I did several emails to professors, and hope one of them replies back because I was asking during the semester where they have their workload a lot more than during the beginning or end of the semester. So I recommend emailing them at the beginning of the semester when they're looking for more undergraduate researchers. Other than academic hobbies for you guys, I do a lot of outside activities. Like I like to bike, and I go to the gym a lot. Anything like I like to keep a balance between not to overthink or overwork my brain. So I like to do a lot of like just peaceful or anything that doesn't require extraneous brain activity. Like I'll watch TV every then and there a lot. Binge watch Netflix. My advice is like do academic hobbies like that will build you and professionally, but also keep a balance and do more hobbies you love to do to balance them and not to overwork each other. Like you should, because that's the best way to go through it and make yourself more competitive for jobs in industrial companies or whatever you do after you graduate.
I'll follow up with that question. So when it comes to the extracurricular activities research, there's like UROC where you could submit an application and you'll get assigned to a professor. But one thing that I've been pretty successful in is just let's say there's a class that's really interesting to you, get to know that professor. Like I took thermodynamics last semester, and with Professor Liang for my minor, Chem 113. And I did really well in his class, and I was in his office hours, and I was like, hey, what kind of research do you do? Like, just ask your professor, what kind of research do you do? And they'll, give a rundown. We simulate proteins and molecules in free solution using Python. And I actually had zero Python experience. I didn't know how to code prior to this summer, and my professor was just like, "Would you like to learn how to code? Like, what are you doing this summer?" And I just ended up learning Python and NuPlot and using Linux and stuff like that. And now I'm part of his lab. I definitely recommend just asking your professors, like, do you have any research positions? And like, that's how I've gotten my research positions. Another thing too is join orgs. Doesn't matter what kind of org. What do you relate to is kind of how I went about picking what orgs I wanted to join. Like first generation Latino student too. So HU and Manos Unidos, they're there. Biomedical Engineering Society, I related to them. I'm a bioengineer, and it's a group of bioengineers. The Theta Tau Professional Engineering Fraternity is a fraternity full of engineers, and you can gain something from each different org. Like BMES, I'm also R&D, so I work with Professor Joel Spencer, who's the 106 professor. And, and I have some of those people in my classes because they're all bioengineers. It's a very small clique of students. So, when it comes to study groups, when it comes to, hey, how do I do this on the lab or something like that, you can always reach out to somebody. When it came to Theta Tau, what I gained from them was, like I said, this woman by the name of Sonia. She was older than me. She was mechanical engineering, not even in bioengineering, but in the org we have what's called professional development chair. And she, looked at my resume because I was applying to some like internships and stuff like that. And I also just want to have a good resume for the future use. And she was like, this is garbage. Like, this is what you got to do. And she, gave me tips and stuff like that. So it's good to know different people to give you different, access to different skills and stuff like that. They can review your stuff, help you out, and definitely branch out. Like, maybe if you're first generation, a female student, like you might want to join SWE, which is Society of Women Engineers, and you could probably relate to that. So you might want to join that. Yeah, don't be scared to join orgs. You can message me privately about orgs if you guys want to. I don't know if they're going to release our information, but like get out there, find out what you're missing, and then, build yourself through that. So yeah.
And I do have a follow-up question to that. How did you find these opportunities? I know Mari mentioned that you did a summer program, I believe, and then Gabe, you also did some orgs and some activities. How did you find them, and how did you reach out to them?
When I was looking for research opportunities, I was going through the online website to first see all the professors and see the type of research they were doing, and then I'll go to their lab websites and read more. And if I was interested, I would go. And they sometimes include if they have like they're looking for undergraduate students or not. And even if they weren't, I was still like I would send an email out like, but I'll also read like some of the work to like show them I'm dedicated, and I'm willing to understand this stuff and I'm willing to put in the effort by reading some of their publications and putting that in the email, like what I liked about it and what was interesting. I didn't like look for like actual like positions. Like these weren't positions like they were just saying they were available. I just mostly went through the professors, like sending out emails mostly. And like for the one I entered the undergraduate research I do now, the professor I sent an email to recommended me to another professor, and that's how I got this position. Yeah, mostly it's been contacting professors because they'll help you out a lot, and they could even recommend you to another professor.
Definitely just talk to your professors. Like I got mine through office hours, and also I did get accepted to some RUs. There's this website called nsf.gov, and if you just go to nsf.gov/bioengineering RU, RU stands for Research Experience for Undergrads, and you can apply to different RUs, and there's summer programs. So as long as you're an undergrad student for the summer, you qualify, and it's basic requirements like having at least a 3.0, and I think that's it. They even prefer you to not have research because they want you to go to their school and learn something. But I applied to some for this summer, and I got accepted to some, but obviously with the current situation of COVID, they got like basically revoked, I guess, because I couldn't go to I got accepted to Puerto Rico, but I obviously couldn't go because of the situation. And right now locally, I would reach out to professors. That's one thing in engineering is I feel like you got to adapt. And I was supposed to be spending my summer in Puerto Rico, but now I did stuff with my professor, and that's just because I sent the email, went to the office hours, asked questions. With different organizations like BMES, I had a friend when I switched majors. His name was Steven So. He's also bioengineering, and he told me to come out to a BMES meeting. And literally the first meeting I went to, it's a really small club, a small population of students. I got a position in R&D, and I worked directly with Joel Spencer, which is the 106 professor. You guys will take BIOE 106. Probably by the end of your second year. I think by the end of your second year or early third year. I don't know. But basically, through him, he was able to, give me some guidance. And he, when I went to the conference in Philadelphia, which was through BMES, he called me on my phone. He was like, "Hey, I got some people for you to meet." And I went to like a UC only reception, and he, pointed me in the right direction in chemical engineering because that's what I want to do after college. and or after undergrad, and he took that into consideration. Professors think about you, surprisingly. They will think about you. They will put you in the right direction. Don't they're your friends. Don't make them enemies. They are your friends at the end of the day, and because they were also in the same position you were in too, and go honestly go out, see the flyers on Cat Life, know when there's different orgs posting, join those orgs. You'll see the kind of opportunities brought forth to you when you join these orgs and ask the questions. So definitely just ask. Moral of the story probably of this panel is ask questions. Do not stay ignorant, and branch out. Don't be scared. Shoot your shot. Do it.
Perfect. Now, going back to your academics, can you talk a little bit about your learning style and if you had to switch it based on your classes, or did you use the same studying skills for every class?
I use this the way I learn is mostly by reading stuff. It's harder for me to visually learn stuff, so it's easier to look through notes and read it and understand it for me. And that's how I go through every class. But there's some classes that didn't have lecture notes, and I don't write the best lecture notes because I don't have the best handwriting, so I can't read my notes afterwards. So I recommend, if you like to write notes, and your handwriting sucks, and write it on a laptop, that could help. And it didn't help me still. I need to learn it through the way they gave it. Because there was my first semester, there was a class where the professor only spoke. There were no lecture notes, nothing else. People tried to record the lectures, but they weren't allowed to do that. And it was hard to keep up. For that class, I had to adapt, and I wasn't used to writing or typing on a laptop. So I say improve your words per minute, because that'll be helpful for some classes. And some classes, they won't give as much detail on the information they're putting in lectures, and they'll ask you to learn it through the book. And for me, I would Google it first, the stuff if I don't understand it, then go through the book, because I've been used to Googling stuff and learning that way too. For some classes, well, when I took organic chemistry, it was a little bit harder. We had to learn reactions, and it's harder to learn it by reading it. So that when I started learning it visual, try to improve my visual learning skills, because most of the reactions, you have to learn the reaction schemes. So I took the honors course for that, so we had to learn it. So we would have to write the reaction schemes on the midterms, and for that is when I started drawing stuff out, and that could be helpful for some classes. I'm not used to where I physically write stuff out and people learn because they have to write stuff to understand stuff. And that's when I first applying to that. So some classes will need you to adapt, but most classes, I feel like you can keep your learning style, but you might have to make some tweaks to it to fit it. But overall, whichever way you learn, I feel like it could work.
Follow up with Amar. I use Google Calendar a lot. It's just nice to see my whole week in front of me. If you ever have the time to look up Google Calendar, do it. It's helped me immensely. And I also have I have kind of just have my list out, and then I just cross off each task as it goes. I just, it's, for me, it's fulfilling to just cross off. I'll have homework 3, module 7, and lab. And then as soon as I complete something, I just check it off. And it's kind of nice to check things off. It's, I completed that. All right, next, bring me the next task. Kind of keeps me going. when it comes to, yeah, like what he talked about, there's going to be some professors that they're going to just like, when I took 100, it was definitely like, there's just a figure. There's just a figure. Um, they don't have any words on the lecture slides when they upload them later for you to look at. Like you got to just take the notes then and there. And yeah, I would definitely, like me having really bad handwriting as well. I just typed a lot. Like I would just hear what he was saying and just like look at the figure and like just type, like just like jam it out. So when you take 100, I recommend doing that. Like I don't really know what other way, how like what other like how to go about that class another way, but like it's just here and type, and then go over it once you're done. Like once the class is over, I spent most of the class like just typing what he said, not really understanding it. And then after, I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually read through this and sit down and understand it. But one thing for me, the way I learn is, I guess, like just re-saying things, rereading things. You know, reading a phrase or something like that maybe 10 times and then moving on to the next topic. Like I have to just constantly like keep it going in my head, thinking about it. um, Another thing too is, it's super basic, but like, they'll give you a problem with draw 5 Lewis dot structures. Like go on the internet and draw another 5 different type of compound Lewis dot structures. Like more practice. Yeah, and also listen to what your professors say. Like there's some professors that say, don't, maybe don't read the book, just look at the lecture slides. Like then just look at the lecture slides. And also one thing that has been successful for me recently, I didn't have the best study habits my first 2 years. I kind of picked up on it in my third year, but study backwards. If your professor says the test is on chapters 1 through 3, study from chapter 3, then chapter 2, then chapter 1, because most likely they're going to test you on the most recent stuff because they've already quizzed you on chapters 1 and 2, but they may not have quizzed you on chapter 3. So I've always worked backwards. I don't know. Everybody has a different study preference, but that's what I've done, and it's worked out for me. But yeah, that's kind of how I go about my studies. Yeah.
What would you say is important for BioE students to know as they work towards their BioE degree? And talking more about the sequence and the importance of the sequence, right?
I would recommend taking BIOE 21, like if you can, during your first year, because I took it during my second year, and you can't take another class until you take that class. And BIOE 21 is required for like a sequence of classes. Like BIOE 60, you can't take that class and take BIOE 21. And if you want to graduate in 4 years, you would have to take BIOE 60 by, at the latest, the beginning of your third semester if you want to graduate in 4 years. And for that class, you'll need a lot of math courses. So I recommend try to complete your math courses during your first and second year, and not trying to wait until the last minute, because you will still need them for later classes. And it'll take you longer to finish out your undergraduate degree. Yeah, I did mostly. I made a mistake of taking electives during my first year. I took electives, and now I only have all my bioengineering classes now. And I feel like if you want to take it easier during your fourth year, try to take a easier first year, and try to complete most of the general ed, because honestly, I would rather have it where I had an easier fourth year than a first year, because you're taking harder classes during your fourth year. And I recommend completing your physics and chem. Like you would just want to get your general ed out of the way as fast as you can, because for your third and fourth years, most of the bioengineering classes they're only offered once per year, and like they switch on and off. They're only available every fall, not fall and spring. So, and if you're still taking general ed, that would just complicate things, and will still further things out. And yeah, and I'll also recommend doing a degree path where where you can plan out your courses for your entire degree, because Oh, and talking to your advisor, planning your courses. Like, she helped me go through my entire 4-year plan, and it made me understand what classes I need to take that semester, and just organize what class and still be able to finish in 4 years. Yeah. So yeah, you should plan it at your courses during your first and second years, and they understand like when their classes are available, so they'll help you, and they'll help you like complete bioengineering, which is pretty hard to do in 4 years. In 4 years.
So he pretty much said everything that you pretty much like definitely knock out those lower divisions first, like the math one specifically, because for some reason you'll need vector calc in a BIOE class, and you like it just comes up, but it might not be a prereq. But one thing is take circuits before you. Okay, I talk about 100 a lot because it was really hard, but I did really good in it. But what I would say is take circuits before you take that class. It's not a prereq. Circuits is not a prereq for 100, and it should be. Or my professor was just like, "Oh, you guys are all engineers. You should have been taking it, but it's not even a prereq." So some students didn't take, or maybe it was a catalog thing, but I had a friend who didn't take circuits before 100, and he just couldn't do the like. You'll learn a formula of V equals IR, and he didn't know that like that simple like formula, and that little formula applies to a lot of like your body's a circuit. So there was like a whole like 3 chapters where he was just like, dude, what's going on? And I helped him out, but like like it's good to take. I would recommend just make sure you take circuits before 100. Trying to think. Everything else is kind of sequential, and I would take if you can take BioE 140, which is biomolecular engineering, before 100. That would help you out as well. Um, I'm currently taking 140 after physio, after 100, and I'm like as I'm learning through 140, I'm like, this could have been really good to take before 100 because it's like a lot of biochemistry. But yeah, like if you could take 2 things from this, I would say circuits before 100 and try and take 140 before 100. I would save 100 to the end. Honestly, I would save that one to the end because it's kind of like everything. That class is like everything thrown at you in on a silver plate, and it's really it's a tough class. I'd say it's like that last class you take that's like, okay, I've completed it, I'm done. But yeah, that would be my 2 class suggestions.
Thank you. And we would love to know if you have any plans for after graduation or if you're still exploring and thinking about it.
Right now, like I know I need to take graduate school because a lot of people have been telling me like undergraduate degree isn't worth as much as it used to be, and like it's harder to get a job with just a bachelor's degree, and you need more education still. So I'm applying for graduate schools, mostly PhDs, because I found out masters like you don't get financial aid, or even if you do, it's little, and it's like, and this one, and PhDs basically cover basically all the costs basically, and you get a higher degree, and it's basically it's a win-win with that situation. But after, but also I'm thinking of going into medical school, and I'm thinking about doing PhD MD program. So and I know that's going to be challenging, but I also feel like that's just like so much fun. Like you get to apply research, and I want to do like surgery stuff. So it's like just like it's a joy. And for that, I'm thinking of applying after I do 1 year in PhD. So like make me more competitive for PhD MD schools that I already started my PhD. And I'm applying to schools that have the PhD MD program, so I can just and decide a school that where I would like to do it. And after that, I would like to work in a biotechnology, biotech company, like because I feel like I would have by then have so much academic experience. I would like to see how the actual job, actual industries work, and compare it and see if it's different, and if I enjoy it, maybe stay there. But if not, go back to academic research.
So right now I'm actually going through the process of applying to grad school. I have my CV completed. I'm currently working on a personal statement right now. I have a whiteboard here of just a bunch of schools that I want to apply to, like USC, Caltech, UCR, UCSB. That'd be great. But I want to stay in California personally because California is just the best, in my opinion, the best state to be at. But I want to do chemical engineering, specifically like petroleum engineering, which is pretty different from bioengineering, but I've grown to I really like thermodynamics and fluids. That's kind of my niche. But I would like to get a PhD in that. As Amar said, you want to get that paid for because student loans are, yeah, you don't want student loans, at least the least as possible. And yeah, like unfortunately, just a bachelor's degree. A bachelor's degree will get you like a technician job. Like it's not that you won't get anything; it'll just get you like a basic job that's like, in my opinion, not that interesting. Like you'll be running PCRs all day or maybe gels all day, which is cool for maybe like the first like year, but then I don't want to be doing that for the next 20 years, 30 years. Like I want to hopefully work in like a research and development uh, area with like a big company like Chevron or something like that. Or maybe scale up, like going from small to big experiments and stuff like that. So I'm leaning more towards getting a PhD than getting a job after. But yeah, I'm right now looking into grad schools, talking to professors and stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you. We wish you the best of luck. Remember, the Writing Center is available to review your personal statement, right? Okay, so now just the last question. If you have any words of advice for students that are just starting their second year.
Like I reflect a lot on my life, but once I started my fourth year, I realized, whoa, I started my fourth year. These 3 years have passed by. Like you won't even know. Like you think they're going really slow, but they're really not. And I recommend like just enjoy it. Like do not think like you should pay attention to school, yes, but just enjoy life in general. Like you only go to college. Like you only go to college once, or hopefully just once. And yeah, and just enjoy it and do yeah, just have fun experiences because that's what college is about.
A couple things that I would say is get close to your professors, um, and join orgs. I can't stress that enough. One thing is that it's probably like there's a saying that it's most likely it's not what you know, it's who you know. I've have some friends who, because of connections, they got a job. Because of a conference they went to a certain grad school and they met a professor at a conference, and that was all available through clubs. Like, join these organizations. I hope maybe Luz can give out my information to anybody that wants it. Like, can I can hopefully mentor you guys too, or show you guys the ropes. But and then another thing, like what Amar said, enjoy it. Like you have like, okay, college is 4 years, or undergrad is 4 years, and then after that you're going to be working the rest of your life. So like for these 4 years, don't forget to have fun. If your friends say, hey, let's go out, let's go get food, or whatever it is, obviously have your priorities straight. Don't indulge in it too much, but go out and do it. Like, go have fun, read that book, go do something with your friends or something like that. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, don't be that person locked up in your room for the 3 years, because that last year you might spend a semester with friends and be like, dang, I should have done this the rest of my, I should have done this I should have done this the entire, college experience. Cause I have friends that are like that now. And so, don't regret what you do. Everything, you're going to learn something. Like, maybe you failed a course, you're going to learn something from that. You're going to learn something from everything. At the end of the day, the doctors who went to that had the C's, they're still doctors. Like take your L, but make sure you come back from it, like learn something from it. Don't make it a habit, but just keep moving forward, and honestly, you'll be fine. Everything's just day by day. That's it.
Great, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experiences. And everything you said is very valid. We thank you for your time. This will be posted on our Engineering Advising website. Thank you again and have a great day.